Here is a quote from the founder of the Holy Ghost Fathers 1960 mission. He was writing to, I think, his cousin. He said this, verbatim: all those who go to Africa as missionaries must be thoroughly penetrated with the thought that the dark continent is a cursed land, almost entirely in the power of what? Devil. So they saw nothing good in Africa. I'm starting this teaching with a quote. Those who are instructed in the English language are taught by those from whom they have received their training that all native institutions are in their character darkness and depravity, and in their effects only evil, and evil continually. The Christianized Negro looks away from his native heath. He is under the curse of an insatiable ambition for imitation of foreign ideas and foreign customs. The quote continues: Africans' own experience and achievement could teach nothing. It was only evil and evil continually. End of quote. The above quote is an extract from a letter written in 1900. That's the beginning of the 20th century, by an Afro-Caribbean diplomat and civil servant by name Edward Wilmot Blyden. This letter underscores graphically the thinking and subsequent actions of the white man immediately after the Berlin Conference that partitioned Africa. The Berlin Conference was where Africa was what? Partitioned, and these European nations moved into Africa to take over their what? Position. And they came with this mindset that Africa was what? Darkness. That there was nothing good in Africa. That Africa was what? Filled with what? Depravity. That everything in Africa was what? Evil. That's minus the resources of Africa. So we can see that the Europeans saw nothing good in the African way of life prior to their coming after the Berlin Conference. They were dealing with Africa before then, in business, just strictly business, but they didn't come to colonize then. But after the Berlin Conference, they came to colonize, and they came with the mindset that everything in Africa is what? Evil, minus their resources. This kind of mindset is what framed the mode of operation of the political administration, their religious indoctrination and educational establishments. The plan was to take an African man, or the Africans, from their evil culture to European civilization. They are taking us from this heart of darkness to what? Light, which is what? European civilization. They saw nothing but what? Darkness in Africa. For you to understand this, again, here is a quote from the founder of the Holy Ghost Fathers 1960 mission. Look at the quote. He was writing to, I think, his cousin. He said this, verbatim: all those who go to Africa as missionaries must be thoroughly penetrated with the thought that the dark continent, look at the word, adjective used to describe Africa, the dark word, continent, is a cursed land, almost entirely in the power of what? Devil. So they saw nothing good in Africa. You can see that the colonial administrators, missionaries, and educators came to Africa with a preconceived and a misconceived mindset of what Africa is and what it should be. And they came with the what? Preconceived mindset that they are coming as rescuers to rescue Africa from what? Darkness. It made them to be all out to destroy everything in Africa. They destroyed Africa political administration and political evolution to replace it with theirs. They destroyed Africa's what? Spirituality to replace it with theirs. They destroyed our educational system to replace it with what? Theirs. Note, they did not come to improve what Africa was doing. They came to abolish. They came to steal the resources, destroy African political evolution, spiritual evolution, educational evolution, and supplant it with the European civilization. They never saw anything good. They never said, okay, they were getting it right here. Let's help them what? Improve on this. No, this is where they were not getting it right. You guys should do away with this one. No, but they came with the mindset that everything Africa was what? Evil and bad. Today, the consequent result of this destruction in Africa is what? Many Africans are still sticking to the dangerous heart of darkness what? Perspective. They still believe that their ancestors were what? Evil and what? Devilish, demonic. I want to show an illustrative example of the impact of this kind of thinking in Africa. Some of our Africans always compare why is European so civilized and Africa is not civilized. The answer is simple. The European civilization was not tampered with. Even Chinese civilization was not tampered with. Japanese civilization was not tampered with. Their evolution was not what? Tampered with. They learned some certain things from those who are more civilized than them and engrafted it into their own evolution. But African civilization, our own political evolution, our own cultural evolution, our own administrative evolution, our own occupational evolution was totally what? Tampered with. It was destroyed. Come with me. I want to show you a practical example. Now, this is a tree stump. Consider this tree what? African, or an African nation state in its what? Evolution. Developing in its natural state, evolving, growing, and the Europeans came. They loved where this tree is, but they felt that this tree was not growing well. They didn't like the fruits of the tree. And what did they do? They decided to cut it off. In their thinking, the tree was yielding bad fruits, and they decided to what? Cut it off and supplant it with a new tree. They didn't try to say, okay, how can we treat some of the diseases so that all its fruits will be what? Good. No. Now, this is the problem with Africa. Their evolution was what? Severe. Anybody with a little history of agriculture will know that there is no possibility for you to plant a new tree on top of the tree stump. It will not work. The only solution to this problem is that you plant a new mango tree. Because once it's not mango, it's not mango. You plant a new mango tree, or you allow this mango tree to do what? Regenerates. That's the only solution. So the European civilization that they try to put in this heart of darkness has failed woefully. Look around Africa. It's failing. The political administration they brought is failing. The religious indoctrination they brought is failing. Educational system is what? Failing. Because you tampered with a natural evolution of a particular thing, of a particular natural tree. This is the problem with Africa. The white man came and did what? Cut it off. And they tried to build something on top of this. They created their own tree that they have that is unique to them on top of this. Now, we have African leaders still trying to hold this fake tree that they brought, instead of them discarding it in total and allowing this thing to grow again from its natural state, or plant a new mango tree, because that's the only way a mango tree can successfully come out. African man cannot be anything apart from Africa. What makes you Africa is already engineered inside your DNA. You cannot be anything outside an Africa. You can imitate other people, but you cannot be like them. You can only be yourself, and it's the only way you are true to your own self. Man, know thyself. You become the best version of yourself. This is why I've called this Odinani Masterclass. It's a history lesson. We want to get it right in Africa. Then we must allow all ourselves to evolve from our natural state. Then we tampered with this. Is what Shibu actually said, that we must go back to where the rain started to beat us. The rain started to beat us immediately. They cut off this tree. We must go back to our natural state and start growing back our own system from its natural state. Start evolving it back again from its natural state. And that's where we get it right in our political administration. Free ourselves from this spiritual colonization and go back to our true spirituality as Africans. And go back to our what? Native education. And start what? Helping it out in its evolution. We can add the modern things we learn from others into our own system, not removing our own system to put it. This is what other nations did. People like Indians, Japan, Chinese. They didn't try to do what? Destroy their own evolution. Rather, they see what they can learn from others who are more civilized than them and put it in their own what? Evolution. That's why their evolution is real, is genuine, is different, is unique to them. And this is why Africa is suffering today.